The last reason that people often object to leadership is their discouragement that they can actually make a difference, their skepticism that they have in their power the ability to change anything, to make a difference, to do good. And I'll just mention three studies that make the maybe obvious point that you can make a difference. One is from the book First Break All the Rules by Marcus Buckingham and Kurt Kaufman. They say in a massive study that employees rated the questions differently about their happiness depending on which business unit they worked for rather than which company. This meant that for the most part, these 12 opinions were being formed by the employee's immediate manager rather than by the policies or procedures of the overall company. We had discovered that the manager, not pay, benefits, perks, or charismatic corporate leader, was the critical player in building a strong workplace. People leave managers, not companies. And that has really made an influence on me in the sense of reminding me that yes, your immediate manager and those of you, everyone around here listening to this, has people that are under them who they have influence on, and that they can shape that particular small group, your family, your unit, your classroom, your team. You can make a difference. And another one is from Ethan Mollick. His study called People and Process, Suits and Innovators, the Role of Individuals in Firm Performance. He says this in summary: forget how good the engineers are, aim for great product managers. My paper shows the difference in quality among managers in the video game industry accounted for 22% of variation in game revenue, much more than any other role. In other words, the people who are shepherding the managers, the people who are kind of looking at how to bring this game to market. It was not so much the genius engineers, the inventors, but the people who shepherded the product through the process. Those were the most likely influence on what made a successful game. All right, and then last, a 2021 study, an international study, good leadership, what the researchers call here identity leadership, matters for reducing the burnout of employees. And all they asked people was whether their leader is a model member of the group, number one. The leader acts as a champion for the group. Number two, this leader creates a sense of cohesion within the group. Number three, and number four, this leader creates structures that are useful for group members. That's it. Leaders who were rated highly on those things, they modeled, they were a champion for the group, and they created cohesion within the group, and they created useful structures. That helped burnout not happen in the people under them. That made a difference. So I just remind you that you do make a difference. And we could probably show lots of studies. And this is not the great man theory, meaning like all world events of all anything good that's happened was because of this great person. No. But that is also to say that yes, agency matters, making decisions matter. And let me also make one final turn here in terms of thinking about this from a Christian point of view. And that is, again, this idea that we are encouraged to try to make a difference. And I really often end my classes with Galatians 6:9. Let us not become weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. Just the idea that leadership or making an influence for the good of the world with a group of people, that's about persevering, about keeping at it. So that is my encouragement to you. And does that mean that it will always work perfectly? That if you do the right thing, if you're trying to do good, that in the end there's karma and it will redound and end up being good in the end. No, I don't think so. In the sense of, as a Christian, we say, with a just God, we do trust that your good will be seen and will be honored in the longest term, in eternity, at the judgment day. That there is justice in the universe. So that's a real comfort, I think. But in this world, our greatest leader, greatest mentor, greatest example, greatest person who ever lived, Jesus, was crucified. I died. Had his luck ran out in a way. Really got fired, whatever you call it, lost the game. It went bankrupt. That sort of, really got to failure, something like that. But out of that came real good. And so that is what we have as our mentality and approach. And I like what Leslie Newbegin says. He says, as Christians, we're not really optimistic. He says, I'm neither an optimist nor a pessimist. Jesus Christ rose from the dead. And what he means is, I'm not an optimist because things can go wrong. Jesus got crucified. But I'm not a pessimist because I believe in a just God and things that person who was crucified, Jesus who was crucified, was raised from the dead. And so there is hope beyond even failure. And so that is the reason that we can go forward, try to make an influence. I think it is a real help as a Christian or a religious person who really believes in a just God, that you can plod forward, try to make a difference, knowing, I think in secular studies and business studies, studies of organizations, people do make a difference. When they're trying to make a difference, it is not wasted. It's not lost. But that does not mean necessarily that you're going to win everything, but you can have peace that you've done enough.